People watch trains for fun. They film them, they travel thousands of miles just to stand beside an isolated track and watch heavy machinery roll by. It is a strange human quirk to look at a transportation vehicle and feel something cinematic. At their core, these are rigid systems of logistics: metal, steel, engines, and strict timetables. Yet a locomotive disappearing into the distance almost automatically evokes an air of melancholic hope. To understand why, we have to look at how humans experienced distance before railroads existed. For most of history, travel was an exhausting, dangerous undertaking, governed entirely by weather and muscle. Most people spent their entire lives within a few miles of where they were born. Distance was a literal barrier. Then, these raw iron mechanics arrived. Suddenly, ordinary people could cross landscapes at speeds that previously seemed impossible. The physical world shrunk. For the first time, the average person could imagine traveling far beyond their own local environment on a regular basis. The horizon changed from an unreachable boundary into a series of predictable arrivals. To facilitate this movement, we built immense structures. Underneath these towering glass-paneled roofs, you find an environment built entirely for overlapping transit. Psychologists refer to these areas as liminal spaces. They are thresholds. No one lives here. Every single person standing on a platform is in a temporary state of between. These stations pack the most intense moments of human life into a shared room. On a single platform, you can find a soldier leaving for war just feet away from a family reuniting, all occurring within the same few seconds of transition. Many modern transit hubs are designed to eliminate this friction. They prioritize sterile efficiency to process crowds as quickly as possible. Historical train stations, however, preserve the weight of transition. Humans naturally link physical movement with psychological progress. Stepping into a rail car triggers a biological sense of anticipation, the idea that moving to a new location might yield a different future. Our fascination with these terminals comes from that exact instinct. We are drawn to the physical act of leaving the familiar behind. Once aboard, the experience of distance changes again. Driving a car requires aggressive, constant focus. Flying traps you in a disconnected cabin miles above the clouds. Trains, however, offer passive movement. You are moving at high speeds, yet safely tethered to the ground. The traveler sits completely still, relieved of the cognitive load of navigation. The audio environment plays a crucial role here. The repetitive mechanical clatter of metal wheels on steel tracks shares the same dynamic, rhythmic properties as rainfall or ocean waves. The nervous system often finds rhythmic mechanical sound calming. This acoustic pattern became emotional shorthand, triggering cultural memories of adventure, migration, and the journey home. The constant, predictable motion tricks the nervous system into letting its guard down, creating the perfect biological conditions for deep emotional reflection. Inside the car, bodies remain perfectly still, while the outside world rushes by in a continuous, scrolling panorama. Psychologists call this interaction soft fascination. It is a gentle, partially meditative state of attention. The brain is engaged enough by the passing trees and towns to stay awake, but because it doesn't need to react to anything, it relaxes. This low-stakes mental environment provides room to breathe. Without constant demands for attention, the mind is free to wander, which is why travelers so often turn to journaling, reading, or finally processing difficult thoughts during a long ride. Beyond the window, the infrastructure itself interacts with the landscape uniquely. Rather than bulldozing entirely through the earth, railways must navigate it. They curve alongside riverbeds, thread through valleys, and cross high mountain passes. Moving at a human pace allows the traveler to absorb the terrain emotionally. They can watch the subtle changes in geography unfold over hours, creating a space where the external scenery facilitates internal thinking. We built modern transportation around a singular obsession with speed. Flight compresses continents into a matter of hours. The journey itself has been downgraded from an experience into a logistical obstacle to overcome. But maximum efficiency carries a psychological cost. A life that moves exclusively at high speed leaves very little margin to actually process the events occurring within it. This burnout is driving a renewed craving for scenic rail routes and overnight journeys. Travelers are actively seeking out the intentional slowness of the tracks to escape the relentless pace of their daily lives. We want the train back because it restores rhythm. It gives us back the necessary time to actually process our transitions, to bridge the gap between who we were at departure and who we will be upon arrival. Two parallel lines stretching infinitely over the horizon. The tracks dictate a strictly forward momentum. Once the doors close, the machine moves relentlessly ahead, leaving whatever exists behind you exactly where it is. This absolute directionality is why filmmakers, writers, and musicians adopted the locomotive as the ultimate cultural symbol for escape. It represents the promise of reinvention, the heavy mechanical certainty of moving toward unknown possibilities. Today, we watch trains because they preserve a specific, increasingly rare experience: the feeling of the journey itself. They prioritize the gradual movement through the world that most modern systems attempt to optimize or bypass. The distant sound of a train horn cutting through the night is the echo of our oldest instinct, the quiet, enduring desire to keep moving forward through the world.
For more content like this, like and subscribe to our channel.